Hey guys, and welcome back to the fourth episode of Tiger Talks. I cannot believe we're already on the fourth one. That's crazy. We're so excited to be with y'all today and talk about social identification and social media in sports. More from like a fan base perspective, which will be super cool. And just wait till later. We have a really fun guest coming on. He was actually an athlete at Clemson and is now coaching. So you'll get to hear a little bit about his perspectives on that and how life looks different as a coach in Clemson athletics. But first, we're going to do our little class discussion segment. So I want to start out and ask y'all, let's just hop right into it. How do we feel social media, because it's progressed so much in such a short amount of time? How do y'all feel that social media has impacted fan identification in sports and kind of just grown that self-esteem?
I feel like it's had such a positive impact, honestly. I feel like now in more ways than ever, fans have been able to feel more connected to, those athletes that they look up to, with like many different social media platforms. I just feel like it's like been such a big time for that too. And I feel like it's super positive because it brings a lot more like fans together and like builds those communities. So I think it's been like super positive, and especially with the rise of social media all these past few years, it's been like very crucial for fans like self-esteem and a good positive like community aspect and like that sense of of involvement and community.
Yeah.
I think it's great because I feel like if you're an athlete and you just want the great rep of being a citizen towards people and just having yourself involved within the community and whether it's doing some community service or whatnot or just being a servant leader towards others. I feel like it can really be valuable.
Oh,
You're making me laugh.
it's okay. There was a really big
Yeah.
noise, and it was my headphones are up really loud, and I literally jumped.
That was
I don't
so
know what
funny.
it was, but it's okay. Gosh,
It's
what are your
okay.
thoughts?
I don't really have any thoughts on it. Honestly,
You have to have a thought. You know that social media has
You got it.
affected the sports world. I'm not cutting this out, by the way, that's staying in.
not I mean, yeah. I feel like we have to.
Tosh, how has it affected like your personal connection with sport? Tosh, what's your favorite sport?
Honestly, even though I don't track, but soccer is my
Soccer?
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so how does social media affect your relationship with soccer or your favorite team or your favorite athletes? Like, do you feel like you kind of have that parasocial relationship with them in a sense? Like getting to comment on the team posts and stuff like that?
I mean, like social media always like posting new stuffs about them daily, so keeps me engaged with my team. Real Madrid, even though Cristiano Ronaldo is not there anymore, but yeah, they will always be my team, and they're doing pretty well. They weren't doing so well for a little bit, but they started doing back great. So yeah, I think that social media keeps us updated with what we want to know day to day. Honestly,
Hmm. And even like, do you ever find yourself watching a game live on TV and checking your phone for updates?
yeah, like watching the game live and also seeing what other people are saying on the live chats and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So remember you talking about the TikTok, was it the TikTok lives? Like watching the
Yeah.
games through that or something? Yeah.
Todd is a
That
big TikTok
experience.
live guy. Yeah.
Or it was
I
like
remember
TikTok live or
that.
Instagram live or something. Yeah, one of
Yeah.
those.
He was like, I like hearing what other people have to say because it's like the same thoughts I'm having.
Yeah.
and also some of the people who loves the team can be so what let me see a word that I can put. I don't want to give a bad word. Can be so mean too.
Keep it PG.
Yeah, but they can be so mean too, and it's their fan, and like it's their team, and they're saying some stuff that
Right.
expect they would be saying. Like, why? Like they would say, why is this guy playing? They need to take him off and put him on the bench for a little
Right.
mess that he did. But yeah, but I think that social media has a great impact on sports.
Mhm. I'm interested in, Marcus, this kind of goes for you too, and even you, Nicole, too. Do y'all feel like you kind of don't like say what you're thinking on social media all the time because as an athlete yourselves, like y'all know what it feels like to get, like you would understand what it kind of feels like to have something said like that about you?
Um, I feel like not everything is meant to be put out there as an athlete.
Yeah.
Just having your own bubble and space and your own time to yourself, because like you have your own image when you walk
Hmm.
outside. Like you know, everybody's gonna know like you're an athlete. If not well known, you're an athlete. Period. And bottom
Hmm.
line, I feel like not everything needs to be broadcasted. I mean, like, you may be going through some things, and not everything is just meant for the internet and for everybody, else's enjoyment and entertainment. So I feel like if you can just bottle that and keep it to yourself and put out there what type of person you want to be and the brand you want to build, then
Yeah.
that's just awesome.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like there's a lot of negative aspects to how big social media has gotten and like how free fans are to talk, but I feel like it also has so many positive aspects, you know? But it's hard to like keep it in moderation because people are going to say whatever they want all the
Hmm.
time. Taj, Nicole, do y'all have any thoughts about that?
I think Tahj, were you gonna say something before? Oh no.
He's laughing again.
No,
Oh, he's yawning.
no. What's
That's
that?
me. I'm passing the yawns.
What's
So I
so
guess, yeah, I like
You go.
agree though. I think it's like, I mean, it's so important to just watch what you're saying, like on social media, on the internet. Like there's so many people watching. I mean, I haven't really had any experience like with running. I wasn't like, didn't have like all these fans or anything or all these people on social media, but just seeing like other athletes and stuff and what they would post, and it's just like super important to be like, I don't know, they like media train these
Mhm.
people and like really be careful on like what they're saying. But yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. There can be like negatives, but also so many positives. So yeah, just
Yeah,
going along with the same things.
for sure.
I think that a lot of people don't understand that not every day like athletes are gonna be at their age. You know, some days it's gonna be rough, some days it's gonna be good, but these people don't care. It's
Yeah,
not
they're
negative, they
ruthless, some of them.
get it for real.
Yeah. I feel like people sometimes forget that athletes are like people,
Hmm.
which is kind of cliche. And I feel like people say that all the time. But like, truly, it's no different in the grand scheme of things. Like, yes, they might have a platform and like they're putting themselves out there to be talked about in a sense, but like, it's no different than you saying that about your best friend that's sitting next to you on the couch. You know, like
Yeah.
that's, I think that people need to sometimes think about what they say before they say it and put it
Hmm.
on blast online because digital footprint is real.
Yeah.
Just saying. Um, y'all have any other thoughts?
You got some.
Marcus looks like he's
Marcus.
cooking up some
Yeah,
some
sticking to something.
brain power.
What do y'all think someone who has like a bad digital footprint, like what do you think they can do to make up for it or even change around the narrative that's around their name? Just wondering.
That's hard because I feel like for
It's
so
tough.
long, cancel culture got so big and like
Hmm.
people people don't forget, but people also don't want to forget. Like, you're always gonna have some people in people's comments of like, okay, but remember in like 2017 when like this, and that. So I don't know how you would or how people come back from it.
I
Feel
don't
like
either, honestly.
feel like if you messed up, you just messed up and it's no coming back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like people are
It
gonna
Like
find
you
depends
gotta
on
stuff.
own it.
yeah,
You
Yeah.
it
have to
depends on how
own it.
bad you messed
Like
up too.
nowadays, oh my God. These
Yeah. It's
probably
like you
probably in the 90s, in the 90s,
right.
like what not,
Exactly.
like
Right.
they're gonna always be at it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I feel like it definitely like peaked in COVID, that like cancel culture perspective and like people just looking for people that are messing up. It's like you could do nothing right in during COVID online. Like everything was wrong. Everyone is messing up left and right. It was ridiculous. I feel like that's fairly faded out,
Hmm.
but I feel like I don't know. There's always someone that's going through something, like posting an apology video or like people look for that kind of thing. Like they feed off of it, you know?
Yeah,
But
that's so true.
yeah,
what'd you say?
but a lot of people don't care either. Like
True,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
they will post
That's
the
very true.
apology video, but no one cares about that. You already
Yeah,
missed.
Right.
exactly. It's just
Yeah. Yeah. Then it's like people don't accept it and it's like, well, what did you want? Like, can't go back in time and reverse it. It's like this cycle of like, I don't know, it's hard to get out of.
hmm
So basically, moral of the story, don't have a bad digital footprint. Do
Yeah,
good
Don't have a
seriously.
bad
things,
digital footprint.
be
Exactly.
kind, be a happy, positive person, and you'll be good. It's perfect. I do think that that wraps up our time, y'all. So kind
Yeah.
of sad. That was our last class discussion.
I know, it's so weird.
Damn,
Cheers.
last
Crazy.
podcast, y'all.
I
Oh,
know, crazy, but don't fret. We still have our guest segment coming up. We're gonna bring Samuel Garringer on. He is a former athlete for Clemson track and field, and he now is a volunteer coach for the program. So that's super cool. We'll get to hear from him in those aspects and on that topic. So we can't wait for that. So yeah, we'll see y'all in a few seconds.
hey everyone, we're so excited to have Sam Garringer as our guest speaker today, former athlete and current coach for Clemson track and field and cross country. Sam, we can't wait to have you and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me as your guest. This is awesome. So yeah, I'm a fifth year senior at Clemson, like Nicole said. Ran cross country and track at Clemson for 4 years, and now I am a volunteer assistant coach. Had the fifth year of eligibility that I could have used back from COVID when I came in as a freshman and then being injured, but really felt around this time last year, God pulling me in a different direction to step away from competing and step into more of a coaching role. And so it's just been an incredible blessing to be able to represent Clemson not only as an athlete but also as a coach and kind of get the full college athletic experience.
Yeah.
That's
Wow,
awesome.
that's so cool. I love that you've been able to experience Clemson athletics from like both the perspective of an athlete and now a coach. I definitely want to touch on that later. But first, Sam, can you tell us a little bit more about what um, that decision looked like for you, where you had to decide whether or not you wanted to stop track and field, and like kind of give us that a little bit more insight into that?
Yeah, so I think my time spent competing at Clemson was really unique. Came in as a freshman during COVID, which was obviously different from most people in that experience. And it really, I think my time here competing, it really showed me that sports is a really cool opportunity, and it's a really useful tool, in my opinion, just for character development as a whole. And it um, I kind of learned that over the course of my 4 years competing, of doing that when I first came in. Sport was everything. Like my whole day revolved around college athletics. And I think to some degree that is required to be really good at your sport. But I was at the point of obsessing over it to some degree. And so by the time I got to my fourth year, I had other things in my life that were important to me. And kind of like I said, as I was kind of growing in my relationship with Jesus, I really felt around this time last spring that God was pulling me away from competing. And at the time, I did not want to stop competing because
Yeah.
all of y'all have been involved in college athletics. Like you understand how incredible of an opportunity it is. But really being able to step away from it I can look back on it almost with like a better point of view of like seeing it for what it truly is. Because I think it's really easy, like when you're in the middle of it, to be so obsessed with like performance and like you want to
Right.
go and hit certain numbers, you want to hit what like certain stats. But then when you like kind of step away on your own terms a little bit, you can look back and say like, hey, that was a really cool opportunity that I got to be a part of and have a support
Yeah.
staff around me. So it wasn't an easy decision, but on the other side of that, it's been unbelievable.
Yeah. Wow, that is so powerful. I can't imagine going like because like you said, like track and field was such a big part of your life, and what a blessing that it still is, and that you can still
Yeah.
step into it in so many ways. But can you tell us a little bit more about the different perspective that you mentioned now stepping into the coaching role rather than being an athlete? Like, what's one of the biggest things that you've learned as a coach that you wish you had known as an athlete?
Wow, that's a great question. I think the first thing is it's great getting to stand on the sidelines and watch everyone else hurt,
Yeah.
and and not have to be in pain myself. Is pretty entertaining. I don't know. I think having the coaching view, I think it just zooms out a lot because you're literally just on the sidelines, kind of watching everything unfold. And when you're out there competing, you're very much focused on the small, like minor details, and they seem really, really important, and they are. Those small details, like they do add up, and I think they make a difference in performance. But when you're looking at it from a coaching perspective, you're thinking a lot more long term, like, okay, this is where we're trying to get in, specifically in track, like this is where we're trying to get in 3 months, when we're hitting our
Right.
championship season. And so it's like, okay, what are the major things that we're trying to hit this week in order to best set us up for 3 months down the road? And a lot of
Mhm.
times those are really basic things like, hey, did we show up and like hit roughly what we were trying to do pace wise? Say we're trying to, just for the sake of conversation, run 5-minute miles. Hey, if you were running 5, 10 miles, hey, we're in the ballpark. We got good work in. It's like that's
Mhm.
number one thing. Two was the effort there. Like, did you come in with a mindset of like, hey, I'm trying to get better today? And I think if you can walk away being in the ballpark of things, and having a good attitude about things from a coaching perspective, it's like that's a great day. And I think as an athlete,
Yeah.
you're trying to be on the mark, try to do every little thing correct. And so I think it's
Right.
just zoomed out my perspective on college athletics and really focusing on the process of sport as opposed to getting the specific results.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important. It's so good. What are some things that helped you like get through times in your college running career where there was like, more stress with like traveling or academics or just like, in a big period of like racing? Like what are some things that helped you kind of like get through that and like keep pushing?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think definitely like the season that caused me the most stress was outdoor track season because we travel every single week, and so you're literally just
Yeah.
not in class, which was definitely stressful, especially as like an engineering major missing labs and exams. Like it was not.
Really missing
Um,
that student athlete.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
really missing the student. And I think something that was big for me was honestly finding a community of people outside of just my teammates. I think
Hmm.
on the academic side, it was great to, it honestly forced me to like branch out and like talk to my classmates, not just my teammates, because it's like, hey, I'm gonna literally rely
Hmm.
on them to like take notes for me
Yeah.
and like fill me in on things. And
Yeah.
so I think it broadened my community of people in that sense. And then just from like, I guess like a social, emotional, whatever perspective you want to call it, it was really good to find people that were completely detached from my sport, which I found that through a group of men at the church that I go to, where they were completely disconnected from college athletics. And when I was really stressed, I was able to go to someone with a fresh perspective. Because my coach,
Yeah.
she's been doing this her whole life, and so um, she's all in on running, which is great. Sometimes it's nice to get a perspective from someone that's completely detached from athletics and can just kind of talk to you about just life in general. And so I think it was really just like the community of people outside of athletics that I was able to surround myself with was like really, really crucial in seasons when competing was really, really stressful. That kind of became a good foundation for me.
That's awesome. I'm really glad you were able to find the different groups of people, to help you, especially with during those times.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. Community is so important. Truly, like it makes or breaks, I feel like a sport as a whole. Like I think it's so important. Even like your fan base and what that looks like, I think is huge. So I kind of want to touch on that. What does the track and field fan base look like? Like in comparison to one of like a football team. Obviously, like the stereotypical football fan is like
Yeah.
crazy in a sense, but like, can you give us like some comparisons of that? Is the track and field fan base a thing? Like, do people travel for events and stuff like that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's funny because for me, I don't have any fans. Um, not many fans of cross country runners. But
Yeah,
I think track is really unique because it's honestly, if you look at every event's kind of its own sport. Because
right.
when I'm out there running a 10K and then you have our big guys throwing a metal ball, it's like those are they're completely
Yeah.
different. Like they're different sports, but we were on the same team and we're both competing to provide points for our team as a whole. And so I think it's a really unique fan base because when you're a fan of track and field, you're almost forced to like branch out from just maybe the event you're most comfortable with, which
Right.
I think it's really cool. Honestly, some of your biggest fans are your teammates. When you're
Oh,
out there competing and you have your teammates that like they've never run a mile in their life. They're
uh,
they're jumping in the sand pits and over hurdles, but they come up and all they know is like, hey, this dude's like still competing for my team, and they're there to support you through that. I think
mhm.
also like the whatever the stereotype is of like the cross country nerdy kids in high school, it continues in college.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think it's just such a fun group of people that honestly, this is my opinion. I just don't. I think like running fans just don't care that we're kind of nerdy about it, and I personally love it. I think it provides also running provides a really unique. This isn't necessarily a fan base, but just community within the sport. When you go and compete, you're not
Yeah.
competing against one other team. You're probably competing against like 30 other schools at one meet, and so you kind of
Right.
get to meet other people, and as a result, fans get to see a lot of different schools compete at one time. So I think it's just like the community of track and field as a whole is a lot tighter than pretty much any other sport you're going to find in college.
Mm. Wow, I love how unique track and field is. Like that's such a good point that you brought up. Like how broad and like how wide of a variety the fan base can be because you are competing against so many people and it's so many different events. Like there's so many different aspects to it. I think that's so 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 cool. So thank you for sharing that. That was great.
Absolutely.
Um, I'm interested, you mentioned earlier how you came to Clemson during COVID, right? So that was like a very interesting time with Clemson track and field. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they ended up actually cutting the team, correct? At one
Yeah,
point?
yeah, they did.
What was, because also just it being COVID and not being the time that that was happening in, um, was there a lot of talk on social media and like in the news about that? And like, did that affect kind of your identity in the sport and like how you felt about it? And like, was that a super prominent aspect or was it kind of just like you interacting with the people here, but maybe not even because you probably had to be socially distanced and like such a crazy time. So can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean that definitely was a crazy time. They announced that the team was cut in that would have been November of 2020. Would have been the fall of my
Well,
freshman year, and there was literally. That's funny you said that. There was no interaction among the campus because everyone was, in their dorms, their apartments. Classes were online. Like no one,
easy.
no one was on campus just talking to each other. Like we weren't doing that. So really, most of the conversation around it was just through social media, which like that was really prominent. Clemson track is a
Mhm.
very historic program, and so that was like you see like. there have been times when smaller programs have been cut in track and field just because they're such large rosters and they don't bring in a lot of money. It's
Right.
kind of a pretty easy target for a team to cut. But for a program like Clemson, that's I guess now a Power Four school, and definitely a historic program, it kind of came as a shock. And then for me personally, on like the identity side, I can look back on that now, and I think that was really the moment where I can now recognize that running had definitely become, an idol in my life and something that I elevated much higher than it should have, because really a sport that's supposed to be fun and me just using the gifts that God gave me, when it got taken away, I like completely crumbled, just like mentally,
Mhm.
like um wanted to transfer, wanted to get out, even though Clemson was an amazing community of people, and provided a lot of other amazing opportunities for me, because it didn't have that one thing. I wanted to transfer out, and so I can look. It's honestly the biggest blessing in my life that I had to walk through that. Obviously, on the other end, ended up getting the teams reinstated, but I wouldn't go back and change that they'd cut the team, because I think that was a moment for me that I recognized, like, hey, sport can't be everything. It's really
Mhm.
cool and it's awesome, but like you can't do this forever. There has to be something on the other side of that. And for me,
Mhm.
that was shown really early on, literally a semester into college. I think it changed my perspective for the best, in the remaining years of college, that probably not a lot of other college athletes get, and they kind of have that revelation maybe a little bit later down the road.
Wow.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah.
I can't
Hey
believe that
Sam.
that. Oh, you go. You go.
Oh, hey Sam. I was just quickly wondering. So talk about the transition of becoming a coach. Like, what is just your process now, and what is your main focus as a coach? Just trying to teach and just give out just like things that you some gems that you learned along the way, and just to make those student athletes better.
Yeah, that's great. I think the number one thing, I normally just share what I did so incredibly wrong, which I think is a great thing. Which everyone that's been in college athletics, you make a ton of mistakes, and I think that's way more valuable than probably any success I had. I think specifically for me, my heart kind of goes to the freshmen and the sophomores, that is really new for them. And I get to be like, hey, these are some major mistakes that I made that like I want you to avoid, because it's like I want you to be successful. Like I would love it if every single guy on the team is significantly better than I ever was. Like that's awesome. There's no pride there. Like please go and outperform me and all of my previous teammates. So I think there's that piece of just sharing the mistakes that I made, and trying to maybe point those out when they're not necessarily obvious, and it's something that I can look kind of back on over 4 years, and kind of be able to compile those and share. And then I think the other thing, mine, it's a really interesting situation because like all the people on the team, I'm only 1 year removed, so like I've been teammates with all of these people and I've been friends with them, and so I think it's a really unique relationship that they know I'm not being a mean coach. Like I'm their close friend. Like I've been in the locker room with these guys, and so small little things that I may notice in regards to like, like running form, or just like training methodology, like those sorts of things. I'm an absolute runner nerd, so like I nerd out over the sport and I love catching those things. And I think being able to come to them, maybe not even as a friend or as a coach, but as a friend, and being like, hey, I want to see you get even better. Like this is a small thing I noticed. I've seen kind of those two things be received really well, which has been a cool thing to get to do this year.
Yeah, Sam's been a great coach. I love him.
Funny, you were gonna say something, or should I go?
No, you can go, Josh. You're
Oh,
good.
all right. So my question was like, what's one of your favorite memories while doing track here at Clemson?
Yeah, that's an easy one. Winning a conference championship my junior year, that was unbelievable. I will say I scored no points. I contributed absolutely nothing to the team total, but hey, that last day I was an absolute cheerleader. But no, it really was that was such a unique thing going from the team being cut my freshman year, then 2 years later, getting to watch my team compete well and win a conference title. And I think that's one of those just cool moments where you find out and you're just with all of your guys that you train hard with, and all of a sudden a bunch of guys that are trying to act cool while they're competing or jumping around with the biggest smiles on their faces. I love looking back on the pictures from that because there's just genuine happiness on everyone's faces. Um, and also that's something that, okay, I may not have gone and broken any records at Clemson, but that's a memory and something that will never be taken away, and I'm gonna get to have with me for the rest of my life. And so that was just an incredible moment that I will always cherish.
What an incredible memory. That is like,
It's
not
awesome.
everyone gets to experience that. That's like
No,
huge.
I got the
It's
ring
so
over there on the
special.
bookshelf. It's sitting right
Hey.
Oh
there.
yeah. Dusting it every day. That's so great. Well, Sam, thank you so much for coming on to Tiger Talks and talking with us. It's been such a pleasure to learn more about your journey and what life looks like at Clemson as a coach, which is so cool. We're so proud of you and can't wait to see what you do in the future. So thank you so much to everyone listening. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us again for episode 4. This is our last episode of the semester, which is so sad. Tears. But we went out with a bang, so thank you again, Sam. You're the best. And we won't see you guys for the next episode. Sadness. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll keep it up.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe.
Tiger
Yeah.
Talks forever. Just kidding. Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening and enjoy your night.